Psalm 9. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praise to thy name, O thou Most High. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. But thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou sattest in the throne judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heathen, thou hast destroyed the wicked, thou hast put out their name forever and ever. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities. Their memorial is perished with them. But the Lord shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment, and he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. Sing praises to the Lord which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Have mercy upon me, O Lord. Consider my trouble which I suffer of them that hate me. Thou that liftest me up from the gates of death, that I may show forth all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will rejoice in thy salvation. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Hikiayan Selah. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. But the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Selah.
Sorry we're so long coming, Lord. Pappy and me had to take the boy over to get him a can of wing on.
What was the matter, son?
They were chafing me at them. They're fine now, thank you, Lord.
That's good. Now, you boys just sit down and make yourselves comfortable.
Thank you, Lord.
You is about the three best boys of the same family that's come up here since I made Little Apples. And I decided to turn over to your descendants the biggest and the best piece of property in the whole world.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Al Shai. All right. With GMS Mississippi Camp, so lucky with GMS Mississippi Camp, and we're coming with another weekly lesson. All right. And it's going into from empire to nightmare. Okay. And what we're going to get into tonight, we're going to go into a prophecy, a little history. And we got a couple videos we want to get into just to show you, empires come and empires fall. Okay. And it's all according to the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al Shai. Okay. Everything that we see, when you go into history, okay, when you go into empires, they're beginning, okay, and their end, well, that was all the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al Shai. Okay. There's no one that comes into rulership. There's no nation that comes into a power, all right, that comes into power that is not ordained from on high. Okay, and what we see now, Esau Edom, he's ruling, all right, within his power that was given to him by the Most High. All right, and we're also seeing that the symptoms of a fall of an empire. America is showing all the symptoms of previous empires that have came and went. Okay, so this is nothing new that we're seeing. America just happened to be the empire of the time. Okay, so start off with a couple precepts, and then we'll segue, to those videos, and we'll go from there. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters are edified. All right, so you got it, bro.
This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7. But the end of all things is at hand, but be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer.
Yeah, so we're at the end of all things. Ultimately, we're at the end of our captivity as Israelites. This is our last captivity, and Esau was the last heathen that would ever be in power. Okay, so this is the end of heathen rulership forever in the earth, and the beginning of our rulership that's going to last forever, man. So we're at the end of all things. The Lord finna wrap this thing up, and this is what we're watching happen real time. And the Lord is doing it right before our eyes, man. He's closing shop on Esau right before our eyes, man. Okay, because everything that the devil is doing to try to remain in power, all right, is working against him. Okay, and he has to deal with the end, all right, that's already written. There's no getting around it. There's no extending, okay, his kingdom. Okay, there's no alternate ending to this thing. No, it's going to end exactly as the Lord wants this thing to end, man, as we read about. Okay, America being the desert, these heathens going into captivity, and then eventually Esau is going to be done away with. All right, to sum up the matter. Okay, you got it, bro. You go, Daniel.
Bro, this is Daniel chapter 4 and verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the basis.
The basis, yep.
The basis of men.
Yeah, and this is what we see now. And the Lord rules in the kingdom of men. Okay, because no one, like I say, no one comes into power, just because they're this great, war strategist, okay, or because they have the biggest military, all right, or they're the richest empire. And the Lord shows that He rules in the kingdom of men by allowing, men, all right, nations like Alexander, that little Macedonian kingdom that went against that great Persian empire. Alexander was a major underdog, okay, for him to take down that vast empire, man. Okay, but that just shows the power of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, because that's Daniel 7, that's Daniel 8, that's prophecy being fulfilled. Okay, so the Lord shows His power in the kingdom of men, and many other battles. You study history, you study when it's time for a kingdom to come down and another one to be set up. Well, the one that's going out of power, everything begins to work against them. And for the ones that's coming into power, everything begins to work for them, man. So prophecy can be fulfilled. And we're in a time now where everything is working for our favor, and everything is beginning to work against Esau Edom. Okay? So we're going to segue to the video. And if you got a point, you can make your point, bro.
You can hear, bro. I'm just looking up precepts. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, and then we'll get this one real quick. The brother Bayan Yasha'Allah, you get that one, bro.
This is brother Bayan Yasha'Allah, Daniel chapter 2 and verse 21. And he changed the times and the seasons. He removed kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Mm-hmm. So just driving home the point, okay, how the Most High removed kings and set it up kings. Okay, there's no getting around it. All right. So what we're seeing right now, is Esau Edom has been set up, but we're finna see him be removed. Okay, and he's going to set up all right, Yasha Alaman under Yahweh Shai. Okay, so this is the back and forth, the power struggle that we see in the earth, and the Most High, all right, is in full control, okay, of all these transitions of powers that we ever seen in the earth, man, starting back from the beginning, even Adam, being tricked out his kingdom, all right, dealing with the serpent, all right, Eve, ragged ass, okay, and hey, we feel, so the rise and fall of kingdoms is all within the will of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay, and we're in some beautiful times because this devil is going to fall and Israel is on the rise. Okay, so let's get this. We'll let this play. Like I said, we'll go into a little history. Go look at a few maps. Get some understanding, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's get it. You go ahead and mute it, bro.
Okay.
Be describing to you as best I can what the situation is with the United States' economic system, which has a name. It's called capitalism. It is a system in very deep doo-doo. It is in the greatest difficulty that I have ever seen in my life, and you can tell from my white hair that I've been around a while. I never expected to see what I am experiencing. And I imagine for many of you, it is the same, unless you are committed to something my psychotherapist wife explains to me as the problem of denial. Not a river in Egypt, but an inability to confront what it is that's going on, because it's frightening.
Richard Wolff is Professor of Economics Emeritus, University of Massachusetts, and he's issued probably one of the most strong warnings that I've heard on what's going to happen to America. To understand why he believes that the leading superpower is on the verge of collapse, we need to delve through history.
I think that the history of the world is a sequence of empires. The Greek, the Roman, the Persian, the Egyptian, the Chinese. I mean, I could go on. And they all have something in common. They are born usually out of the demise of another empire. They evolve and change over a period of time, running from a few decades to a few centuries, and then they die. They pass away.
Stop asking research questions to ChatGPT. Its answers are not reliable, and they are
The current empire that dominates the world is, of course, the American Empire. But the previous superpower came from this little nation here. Our good old chums, the British. This tiny nation, lovers of tea and football, was once a very different country to what we know it as today. From the 16th century to the end of the 19th century, they were more powerful than America is in the modern era. They had these things called colonies spread throughout the world. A colony being an area that is owned by Britain that has to submit to the British authority. And the British did not just have 1 or 2 colonies under their control, they had 58 spread across the world in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific. Countries like India, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and even a little country known as America, or back then British America, was once a colony of Britain. At this point in time, if you said that this great superpower would crumble and that a scattered array of colonies would unite together to form its own superpower, people would have said you're crazy. But we all know what happened.
A part of that empire broke away. And in an important lesson, the empire denied that this was building, even though it was building across the entirety of the 18th century.
So he's finna go into, America golden age, when it built up to the point that we see now. But let's break down, that little piece of history that they just went over. So they went into the British Empire, and then they went to the part of the British Empire that broke away, all right, which became what we know today as America. Now, let's just go and get a little bit dealing with the British Empire. So when you go to the British Empire, all right, now you go into it, says the British Empire was a collection of territories around the world that were ruled by the United Kingdom. It included colonies, protectorates, and mandates in Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and North America. Okay, and you look at, that map. All right. Let's see. So you look at that map. Let's see if I can get it to pull up. And you see, they say that the British had control of a quarter of the land of the earth. So one fourth, of the earth land, was under the authority, of the British. Okay, you had Canada, like I said, you had the colonies in America. You had go back. You had parts of Africa, India, okay, the whole country of India, Australia, okay, and it was all under the tribute of the British Crown. All right, so how it began, the British Empire began in the late 16th and 17th centuries with trading posts and overseas possessions. The British believed their empire was a force for good, all right, and liberal. The British Empire grew to be the largest empire in human history, covering almost a quarter of the world's land area at its peak. The British Empire was built using violence and the threat of violence. All right. Esau Edom, baby. They swore. Okay. All right, get down and lay down. It said the British Empire fell after World War II due to billions of dollars in debt. The United States and the United Nations pressured Britain to reevaluate the cost of value of its colonial possessions. Okay. And that's why you see, today, this is after World War II. This is the transition of power from British, all right, to America, all right, because in World War ended in 1944, all right, and then you had, I think, in 43, but in 44 you had with the Bretton Woods Agreement, okay, where they met, in I think that was Connecticut, all right, a town called Bretton Woods, and they had the Bretton Woods Agreement to make the American the new Federal Reserve, all right, world reserve currency. Okay, and America, was sprung board into being a superpower. But America was on the rise before then, but they just solidified it and they springboarded, to just surpass all the nations of the earth, and this is just to show I'm gonna get Daniel, then it's a map. All right, I want to get into. So we're gonna get Daniel, the 7th chapter, okay, and it goes into these things. All right. This is the book of let's see, Daniel chapter 7. Just to go into that history. Okay. How we got to American empire today and how this empire is now a nightmare, because he's gonna go in. Okay, so let's see, Daniel 7. And let's start because we're going to deal, with we're going to start at 7, which is going into the pagan Roman Empire, then it's going to go into, during the Renaissance, okay, of, the British, the Spanish, and the French, and then eventually America. So you can start at 7, bro.
Come, it's Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the ninth vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had a great iron teeth.
Yeah, this is dealing with pagan Rome, all right, and it was strong exceedingly, all right, which is military might, those legions, okay, and they had great iron teeth, the weaponry, okay, the Roman steel, okay. And the iron, the iron. All right. And you keep reading, bro.
Come. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it and had 10 horns.
Yeah. So it devoured and break in pieces, because the Roman Empire, devoured, all these different kingdoms of the time unto itself. It made these kingdoms tribute, similar to the British and similar to the American Empire. Okay, today, so and it was diverse from the beasts that were before it, and had 10 horns. Well, it was diverse, because it went from, a monarchy, all right, that those other beasts rule with, the Assyrians, okay, the Syrians and Babylonians, all right, the Greeks and the Persians, they all had a monarchy, okay, but the Roman had a government system that was set up to where it divided the power, a rulership between, three parts. You had the Senate, okay, you had a Caesar, okay, and then you had I believe what you call a consul, okay. So you had a different style of government, all right, than all the other beasts that was before it, all right. And those 10 horns was those 10 vassals, of pagan Rome at that time, which the new, all right, beast that's back today, all right, that dragon that's came back today, those 10 horns represent the EU, okay. Now, yeah, read verse 8, bro.
Come on, verse 8. I considered the horns, and beheld there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, it was a horn where the eyes were like eyes of man, and the mouth the mouth speaking great things. Like it.
Yes. So this three horns, okay, that sprung out of that pagan Roman Empire, because during the Renaissance, all right, and you go into the Spanish, the British, the French, okay, they began to have empires in the earth, all right. So these are, all right, the three horns, okay, that was plucked up by the roots by what? The little horn, which was America, because America started off as a little colony. All right, those 13 colonies of British that broke away. All right, so you have, the Revolutionary War, okay, against the British. King George III was on the throne of Britain at the time. All right, and America, all right, those colonies broke away and established independence. Okay, and they began to grow into empire. Okay, now just to show, um, it says in this horn were eyes like the eyes of men, and their mouth speaking great things. Because America, became the mouthpiece of this beast system. And a lot of wickedness, a lot of wicked influence that was pushed throughout the earth was through this empire, America. Because the French, the Spanish, all right, the British, they didn't have the global influence that America would come into. Okay, and America was likened to the mouthpiece of the elites. That's why it's known as what, the mother of harlots. Okay, which the mother, the Greek word mitar, all right, goes into the source or the motherland of something. Okay, matter of fact, we'll get it real quick, and then we'll get that map just to prove it. Revelation 17, and we'll get straight to the point. You read verse 4, bro.
Come on, this is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 4.
Matter of fact, read 3. So like,
Come on, no problem, bro. Good. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Yeah, so America, all right, this horde, they ride at the beast, and that represents a position of power, because you see, someone riding a horse, where the person on the horse is in a position of power over the horse. Okay, and America is in the power seat of this beast system, okay, that we see today. All right, those 10 horns going into, the EU nations of the day. All right, and these 7 heads just represent Esau's power structure that he had, throughout, his time, starting, going back to the Greeks, okay, the Romans, you had Germania Major, Germania Minor, all right, the French, the Spanish, and the British. Okay, and America being the last leg, okay, of ancient Rome coming back to life, man. Okay, and America being the woman, all right, that rides the beast. Okay, so Yeah, you got it, bro. Verse 4.
Con. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Yeah, so this America, has gotten to enjoy, royal privilege, especially when they became the world reserve currency, man. And America was able to deck itself out because it had the advantage of the world reserve currency. And even when they took it out the gold standard, America was just to print money out of air. Okay, and they was able to trade on the global market with a fiat currency, man. And the convenience and the way people are pampered in this society is due to of America, being the superpower of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this golden cup in her hand full of abomination and filthiness over fornication, man, is this wicked culture, man, this wicked influence, man. Because what does wine do? It puts you under the influence. It alters your reasoning. Okay, and America has been, propped up, as in the splendor of the earth by the elites, and it has, seduced nations, okay, with their wickedness, man, their filthiness. Okay, America made sin a culture and a trend. You got it, bro.
Con. Verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Yeah, so this the point. So let's get this word. All right, Mystery Babylon. As a matter of fact, we're gonna get go back. We're gonna get a few of these words. First, let's get Babylon. We're gonna get Babylon real quick. And then we're gonna get the mother of harlots. All right, just a link. America to Rome. All right, so in the Greek it's
Strong's G 897. Babylon.
Babylon. All right. So read the first definition besides what's that I, and then
Okay. Come.
Jump down.
Babylon, confusion, a very they're right there, right? One.
Yeah, that was it. Just so Babylon goes into confusion. Okay, but then when you go here, all right, read this part here.
Allegorically, is that right?
Yep.
Allegorically of Rome as the most corrupt seat of idolatry and the enemy of Christianity.
Yeah, when it says the enemy of Christianity, it's talking about the followers of Yahushua. Okay, not Kirk Franklin, these niggas. All right, TD Jakes. All right, wetback ass, sweating all over. It's not talking about them niggas. It's talking about the true believers and followers of Yahushua. Okay, righteousness. Okay, but it said allegorically wrong. Okay, so you look at America, it's linked to what Mystery Babylon, but then it's linked to what? Rome, the most corrupt seat of idolatry and the enemy of Christianity, ultimately the enemy of Yahushua. Okay, and this American culture, okay, is anti-Messiah from front to back. Everything about it. Okay, so America, will be known as Rome. All right, Mystery Babylon, and it says the mother of harlots. So you go here.
Can I add something to that, bro?
You got it, bro.
Just really emphasize what you said, because we know that the true Christianity is the doctrine and the following of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Like you said, Christianity is not what the so-called Christians do and call themselves today. And how we know that, because for one, they just pick and choose whatever they want to follow. True Christianity is following Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. That's the ordinance and the foundational the etymology we would say of Christianity, because that etymology goes into the origin of something. So the origin of true Christianity is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua.
Yeah, and then like that name, because you had Serapis Christus, and his followers were called Christians. Okay, so they put that label, on the true followers of Yahushua, as mockery. and it stuck. It became a political term. Okay, but these were Israelites that follow Yahushua, because you got the pre-Constantine Christians, which were the Christians, the Israelites that was following Yahushua, and a lot of them was in the Roman Empire. They was in the Roman military, and that's why Constantine, he pulled that hoax, as if he converted to Christianity, for political, unity between, his empire at the time, So that's why he had the Council of Nicaea, and he infused a lot of paganism into Christianity. So you have post-Constantine Christians, which became watered down and infused with Christianity, and it just kept getting worse and worse, to what we see today, which is complete madness. Has nothing to do with the Bible, But you get that word for mother in the Greek, which is matar.
Strong's G 3384. Mater.
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 Okay. Now read the second definition, bro.
Come. The source of something, the motherland.
The source of something, the motherland. Okay. So the American Empire, all right, which started off as a colony of the British, okay, which I want to get this map real quick. So this is a map of America in the let's see, this is a map of America in 1803, okay, and it looked completely different than what we know today. So when you look at this map, all right, remember Canada is still under the authority of Britain at this time, all right, and then you have the newly states, because they got their independence from, the British, but all this used to be British territory on the East Coast. Then you had the Louisiana territory, which was a property of French, and then all the way to the West Coast, okay, what you have, the California, the Arizona, Nevada, okay, Mexico, Texas. All this was viceroyalty of New Spain. It was called New Spain, okay, and this was 1803. So this was those three horns that was plucked up, okay, and these colonies that broke away from the British began to absorb, all right, all this land going west, and now you got what? America, the United States today, which is an empire, okay, because America has what? Global reach and global influence, okay, on these different governments of the earth, okay, even Florida, Florida was a part of what you call Spanish, all right, New Spain, okay, so when you go to those three horns, these three horns pretty much had colonized what they call the New World, okay, but you had a little horn that will break off, all right, from the horn of the British, okay, and become an empire, okay, American empire that we see today, so just want to go into that little history, little breakdown.
Yep.
You got it, bro.
It makes sense too, bro. Because you know how we look at, how you said Louisiana was a part of France. When you go to Louisiana, you got your French quarters. When you actually go to the West Coast, a lot of them actually do speak some form of Spanish. Like the West, and that's today. So these different parts of Babylon, which is so-called America, it actually that origin is still there. So when you go to them places like that, they still have, that origin that they, parts of them came from France, parts of them came from Spain, and different things like that. So when you said that, it actually made sense, bro. That's all.
Come on, bro. Yeah, you still see the residue of their influence, because you can go to the West Coast, all those different towns, Los Angeles, San Diego, Pasadena, all those different, towns and cities, okay, streets, they have those Spanish names, so yeah, let's go back into it, play the rest of this. So he's going to go into American Golden Age. America had 100 years of just constant growth, economically and militarily, man, and that was the Lord behind it, pushing America into its role into prophecy, man. Because America has a major role to play in prophecy, man. Okay, so let's play this. You can mute it up again, bro.
And then in 1776, the denial blew up in its face as the colonists here in this part of the British Empire wanted its independence. And a war was fought, which, to the surprise and chagrin of the British Empire and George III sitting on his throne in England, the British lost.
And out of this loss emerged what we all know today as the United States of America. A new superpower was in control, and the dawn of capitalism had begun. From 1870 to 1970, America grew like a runaway train. Railroads were built across the country so that goods could be transported at breakneck speeds. The automobile was produced en masse so that even the general citizen could afford it. Retail chains were popping up everywhere, and everyone from the worker to the business owner were benefiting.
For that century, roughly 1870s to the 1970s. Every decade, real wages of workers were higher than the decade before, even across the Great Depression. So you had this bizarre situation, quite rare in the world, of a capitalism that was able to give rising profits to its capitalists and rising wages to the mass of its workers.
But things were about to change. This date, 1970, is an important one because this is where Wolf sees the problem start to creep in.
And they then really ran with that ball and began to imagine that this exceptionality was somehow inherent, and so it would last forever. It became, and I use this word carefully, crazy.
What's changed in 1970? Pause the video and see if you can think of it. Remember our parents? Remember our grandparents? Back in 1970, the median price for a house was $23,000. The median household income was $9,000. A decent house could be affordable to almost anyone and paid off in a reasonably short period of time. Not only this, but you could support a big family on one income. The wife did not have to work because the husband's income was enough and she could stay at home and take care of the kids. And it's not like the single income was taking care of just one or two kids. The families were large back then, with families often having 4, 5, or 6 kids. So Richard, what changed in 1970?
As I've told you, real wages went up for a century. 1870s, 1970. Why 1970 do I pick that? Now I can tell you, because that's when real wages in America stopped rising. Absolutely epoch-making change. The average American worker earns now what he or she did in 1978. Try to wrap your head around no more real wage increase.
You gotta think about that. You know, like when you add your, wages to inflation, Americans haven't gotten a raise since 1978. That's 47 years. 47 years people haven't got no raise, man. That's why when you go into real wages, because people, because let's say now, like your grandfather probably made, $8 an hour. Okay. But that $8 used to buy way more. Okay. So now you get $32 an hour and you like, yeah, I'm shitting on granddaddy. No, you're not. Okay. You're not. All right.
So lock it, bro.
$32 is the same as that $8 or less. Okay. You Americans haven't gotten a raise since 1978. That's crazy work.
You know what that remind me of, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Two things, bro. One, in 1971, ain't that when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard?
Yes, sir.
He plummeted that motherfucker right after he did it, and then right on top of that, I remember the elder out of North Carolina. And he said something that really made sense. He's like, a while ago, you used to be able to take $100 in the store, you used to be able to get a basket full of stuff, bro. Like, remember them time, bro? Like, I ain't that old, but like I remember, we was going in with my mom and my daddy, and they used to get like a nice bit of stuff for $100, bro. Now you go on $100, bro, you might get two good size bags, bro. I'm talking about they ain't even got a double bag, but they get real wages mixed up with actual, like you said, the raises, because real wages that's money that you have after, like, when you got it up after inflation, after you pay your bills and everything. If your raise going up, but the cost of living steady going up, you not really getting a raise, bro. Everything really just staying hand in hand.
Yeah, inflation is absorbing, because what you get like a 2% raise, every year, what they call cost of living, COL raise. All right, most jobs get them to where you get, you might get 15 cent, 40-cent raise. Okay, so you get a 2% cost of living raise, but inflation is going up 8-9%. Okay, so if inflation is going up 8-9% every year, and you're only getting a 2% raise every year, then inflation is absorbing that raise. So you're never getting a raise. If matter of fact, you're going backwards. Now you negative. Yeah, now you negative 6%. So you do every year, you done. Okay, and that's why people are screaming, "What? The math ain't mathing." Yeah, no, it's not mathing. All right, because you're not getting the raise. Okay. So yeah, let's go back to it. But he's gonna go into the real wage, what that means. All right, but Ryan, God, when I first heard that, I said, God damn,
what scam?
yeah, Unc don't play. That boy dog out here, man.
I'm muted up, bro.
Bro.
Epoch-making change. The average American worker earns now what he or she did in 1978. Try to wrap your head around no more real wage increase. For a country that had enjoyed steady real wage rises for a century, this is a traumatic event.
The real wage that he's talking about is the amount of money that an individual earns after adjusting for inflation, aka the money earned after adjusting for the increase in prices over time. We all know that as time has gone on, wages have increased. In 1970, the average hourly rate was $3.30, and today that number is $30. This is what we call the nominal amount of increase. But what's important is not the nominal increase, but the real increase. If your salary has gone up, but what you can buy is less things with that increase in salary, has your real salary actually increased? The answer is no. From 1970 to 2019, the real salary, the salary we actually have after you adjust for the increase in prices, has stayed the same. This is something that very few people are talking about.
How was it handled in the United States? Denial. There was no discussion at the time or since. No debate in this country. What do we do about all of this?
And post 1970, this has led to some interesting changes. The first is the introduction of women to the workplace. Remember hearing of the days when it was just the man working and they'd come home to a warm welcome, a home-cooked meal, a tidy house? As we all know, those days are gone.
Number one, the women of the United States left the home and had to go out and do wage labor en masse. Now suddenly all women, all the wives and mothers had to go out. There was no other way to sustain the fantasy of growth. The empire's foundation is beginning to crack.
Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and question I get all the time is, how do I make my personal assets invisible?
Second key thing, we started accumulating these cards in our pockets. No, not cards with suits on them, not Pokemon cards, but cards that let us borrow, that let us consume. This consumption did not happen with our own hard-earned money, but through the use of debt. An Econtribute report found that in 1970, households had a 40% debt-to-income ratio. At that stage, their income was more than double their debt balance. Today, that number is 100%. So an average household has the same amount of debt as their entire yearly income. As we can see, it was around that 1970 point where the debt started to decouple from the income. The debt shot up and the income trickled up.
In the 1970s, the banks of the United States decided that the consumer, to whom they had never lent money before, they would now lend money to. In other words, the credit card, which until then had been American Express in the hands of rich people and businessmen, would now become socialized. Everybody's wallet would be crammed full of plastic cards. Live off them. And so the American working class, from around the 1970s to the present, accumulated debt. We are a debt-ridden society in the way we never were before. We became pioneers, not in covered wagons going west, but in what we could cram plastic in our wallets.
The types of debts that we accumulated were not just mortgage debt, which you can argue is reasonable. It started with borrowing for a home, but then people decided to borrow for their car. And then they were allowed to borrow using a credit card, so they could buy whatever their hearts desired. Anything at the shops, anything on Amazon could be bought, not with money earned, but with money borrowed. And then, maybe the worst of them all, even to get an education, people had to get into debt. Students today borrow about $60,000 from the federal government to get a degree. According to Investopedia, on average, they take 21 years to pay this back. So for 4 years of education, you need to work for 21 years just to clear the debts that you accumulate.
All the growth of consumption in the last 40 years has been labor.
You got to slow that one down. He said $60,000 just to pay for school. And it take you 21 years just to pay it back?
Yep.
God.
Clown.
Damn, E.
Joe Sausage Head. And then so, and this how this man was able to hide inflation. Like, this devil is crafty, man. You know, this devil is crafty. Because first the man was able to pay for housing, food, multiple children, and the woman was able to stay at home. But then remember, in the 60s, he was already getting the woman ready to what? To be independent and go to work. You know, because you had the Feminist Act in the 60s, and it was preparing women's minds going into the 70s. Because see, in the 60s, all those women, they didn't take hold to the feminist movement. But the generation after, they began to take hold to that movement. And that's why you get to the 70s and women was running to the workplace as if it was a flex. Okay, so Esau tricked the woman simple as from being a housewife, okay, being taken care of, to joining his workforce. And he pushed it like it was a flex, like she was being held back. Okay, so now the woman has to work. So now you got two incomes, and they hide the inflation because you got two incomes now. Then it got to the point where two income wasn't enough. And he said the bank started doing something that they never did before. Because American Express, that was only for rich people and businessmen that had American Express credit card. So then the bank started lending money to the average people, the working class, all right, to buy houses and to start to buy cars. And then they was able to mass produce credit cards and give them to the masses. And now you was able to just borrow money and spend it on whatever. You want to go on a vacation, you can charge it to the credit card. Okay, you need a few dollars for a work day, you can just charge it. So now we're seeing the American working class take on all this debt. You know, now debt is a thing. When you went from one man, all right, being able to make double, okay, of what the debt was for his house in a year, to two people working with credit cards and still not being able to keep up with the debt that was coming in for a year. So
I
this
got your
devil,
back up when you finish, bro. So like,
this devil, this devil gradually, made people debt slaves, man. And it's gonna segue into where we at today, But you got it, bro.
cause I got two things for you to back you up, bro. We're gonna get from 2024 to 2025, and then from 1970 to 2025. Okay, this says that the inflation percentage from 2024 to 2025. Well, this is the COLA increase or the cost of living increase was 2.5% from 2024 to 2025. Now the inflation is 3%. So that means you're in a negative. You're in a negative 5% on top of having to spend 3% more money to live in 2025. You got to spend 3% more. Well, basically 3.5% more money than you would have to spend in 2025 just to live. So more than you did in 2024. Now that's just from then. So I got this from 1970 to 2025, the cost of living increase has been around 200%. So we've got a 200% increase from 1970 to 2025 on the cost of living. Now the inflation rate from 1970 to 2025 is 681.38%.
So that's over 481% difference.
So you in the whole negative 481.38%. You in a hole before you even start.
And you ain't got a raise since 78.
That is, bro. That is what they like to say. That crazy work, bro.
Crazy work, boy. Uncle ain't bullshitting, boy. If you let him, he gonna do it, goddamn.
Bro, 481.38% that you in the hole January 1st, nigga, and you ain't even went to work yet. You gotta come out of that hole just to even like try to look at. And Jake talk about generational wealth, profits and everything like that. Nigga, you can't get no profits. You negative 400, I'm gonna keep saying negative 481.38% in the hole, and you ain't even started yet.
Yeah, boy, Esau punishing y'all, boy. Let me look at this, man. 1978. So ultimately, we never got a raise before.
The last person got a raise was our granddaddy.
Yeah, God damn. So you go here, let's look at this up. Just you gotta laugh at Unc, man. That nigga, a dog, man. So these were the top.
Go ahead, bro.
These were the top songs in 1978. Yeah, the night, the Bee Gees, Staying Alive, 3 Times a Lady, the Commodores. You see, Baby Come Back, Player. You know what I'm saying? This is the last time. Eric Clapton. You see, this is when the last time you Americans got a raise, man. I think Dr. J was the face. It used to be My Girl, the OJs. God damn. The Closer I Get to You, Robert Fleck and Donny Hathaway. Okay, this is what the billboards last time you got a raise. LTD, every time I turn around, So this is when yeah. This is when y'all got a raise, man. Like I said, I think Dr. J, nigga coming from the free throw, okay, with a fro. Yeah, nigga. Finish. You see?
If anybody want to look that up, you can just go and Google and type it in. If they want to, we always say, fact check it yourself. So if you want to look it up, it's on Google. Just type in inflation rate from 1970 to 2025. Total COLA, which is cost of living allowance, increased from 1970 to 2025. I'm gonna pop up for you.
Come on, bro. So y'all get back, play a little bit of this, and then we'll segue to this nigga crying. You know,
It's like it too, bro. He said that too fast. We had to expound on that one, bro.
It's all good, bro. So yeah, we'll go back, play a little bit.
With money borrowed. And then, maybe the worst of them all, even to get an education, people had to get into debt. Students today borrow about $60,000 from the federal government to get a degree. According to Investopedia, on average, they take 21 years to pay this back. So for 4 years of education, you need to work for 21 years just to clear the debts that you accumulate.
All the growth of consumption in the last 40 years has been based on women's labor, women's earnings, and debt. So by now, the family is dying, floating in levels of debt it cannot support because the underlying wage didn't go up, just the debts. Over the last 40 years, there has been a radical redistribution of wealth from the bottom and the middle to the top. And the more top you get, the top 10% have done really well. The top 5%, even better. The top 1%, even better than that. And the top 1/10 of 1%, the best of all. And
how you doing? I'm coming to you with a hot, juicy, sensual message on behalf of Rose Sparks.
you know that because in our society, we adulate them. I'm talking about Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or fill in the blank.
This is a controversial point, but he's not actually wrong factually. If we do a quick Google search, you can see that the top 1% of Americans own around 40% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 90% own about 27%. So 1% of the population own more than 90% of people. In 1965, the average CEO earned about 20 times what the average worker made. Today, that number is closer to 300 times more. We live in the age of the have-yots and the have-nots, and it's hard to argue that.
This system is so committed to inequality that not only did it grow over the last 40 years, as wages stopped rising, of course, where would workers' income go? They couldn't grow. Their wages were flat, but they were becoming more productive all the time. The last 40 years are the computer, the robot, artificial intelligence, all of that. Workers' productivity goes up. Workers' wages are flat. Wages are what the employer gives you. Productivity is what you give the employer. If what the employer gives you is flat and what you give the employer keeps rising, guess what? You have inequality. You're taking all your growing output and giving it to one small class of people.
And this is where it starts to become a little more contentious.
Yeah, let's get this, bro. You know, so like I said, when you go into that, you know, it's a scam. You know, everything's a scam. You know, and the spirit has been on that lately for the last few months. You know, because everything is coming out. You know, brother can put that too in Mark 4:22. You know, and I think there's what's that, Jeremiah 49:10. But let me put the link to that video if you want to watch the rest of it. I think it's like about 4 minutes left on it. You know, yeah, your uncle out here doing numbers. You know, CEOs used to make 20 times as much as their employees. Now, you know, they make up to 300. You know, that's why you got the guy from Boeing, you know, making $38 million a year. Okay, while his employees, you know, some of them, you know, make what, $38 an hour. You know, so this man is getting, you know, a million times, you know, thousands, you know, tens of thousands times more than the employee. You know, this is crazy. You know, and this is an abomination to the Lord. That's why you read that you read that Proverbs 11:1.
I got you, bro. This is Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1. A false balance is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight.
Yeah, so we see this earth, is ran by a major inequality, man. 1% of America's, top earners have 40% of the wealth, okay, while the 90% have 27% of the wealth, man. That's crazy, and everybody's in a rat race. Like niggas talking about they chasing the bag. Nigga, you ain't chasing nothing but that 27% that other 90% of people are chasing.
I looked it up, bro, too. It's less than that now. In 2025.
Okay. That's what you just put up there?
It says that 2025, this is a Google search. It says according to most wealth distribution data, the bottom 90% of the world's population holds approximately 15% of the world's total wealth, meaning the top 10% holds the remaining 85%, with a significant portion concentrated within the top 1% of earners.
See, so you have the elites, you have the super rich, then you have your wealthy, that's under the super rich. Okay, then you have your celebrities, and then you have your upper middle class. So let's get this here in the book of Nahum, and we're gonna segue to this other video. These niggas crying, boy.
It's the book of Nahum, chapter 3, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not.
Yep. So this is a bloody city, which it was taken in blood. Okay, as they came and raped, robbed, murder, took lands, took resources, took people. Okay, and it's full of lies and robbery, man. This whole illusion of freedom, and because America did have a 100-year period as he went into from 1870 to 1970. Which that's spiritual too, because 1970, that's when Elder Albert Bivens,
I'm thinking about
the spirit was on him, to go into Yahushua, and the spirit of Yahushua started to drain the life out this place, man. As Yahushua began to be preached, the life began to get drained out of America, man. So yeah, there wasn't, a coincidence, like you said. 1970, Elder Albert Bivens, which was Elijah, coming back, and then you had 71, America was taking out the gold standard, and it was a decline from there, and he just able to mask and disguise the decline, through women working, 2 incomes in the household, and then letting people have credit, okay, the banks lending, so then you have the distractions and the movies and the sports, and the convenience and, the nightlife and, all these different things. All right. But now it's getting so bad that people are being forced to deal with the reality of the situation that they're in, because it never stopped getting worse. It's just the numbing. It's not numbing anymore. Okay. So let's read that, then we'll play that video, bro.
This is Mark chapter 4, verse 22. But there is nothing hid. Which shall be not manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should become that it should come abroad.
Yeah, so what's coming abroad now is that this whole system is a fraud. Okay. This whole, promise of free market capitalism and, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and all these motivational speakers, pumping you up. It's always a commercial in between every YouTube video telling you to flip a house or, sell this and buy this and start this business. It's all a scam. Okay. It's all a goddamn scam, man. The system is full of inequality, man. Okay. It's rigged. It's a club, all right, of families that win and right, and your ass is not in it. All right, we not in it. Okay, so let's play this, and this is the cry of the average American. Okay, in these times, you know. So let's play this, bro.
In America, everyone's poor, and it's normal now, and that was the point. The average person in America is simply getting left behind. The work culture is changing. It's been bad for a long time, but it's just getting worse. There's no real incentive anymore. There's just expectation, and the expectation is that you need to work between 60 and 80 hours a week. Essentially, it's normal now to work 2 full-time jobs. To work 80 hours a week 10, 20 years ago would have been lunacy. You'd be called a workaholic. It was a negative thing. Now it's normal. It's expected. In fact, if you work less than 80 hours a week, there's probably something wrong with you. You're just not being productive. At what point in the work culture has this become normal? This has become normal because being poor has become normal. There are more Americans now living in poverty. There's more child poverty now than there's probably been since the Great Depression. It's a normal thing in America now. America is falling behind, and its people have been left behind. In the managerial class, the bureaucratic class, they're just completely out of touch with Americans.
There's a new hero at Topgolf, and that hero is you. Come play the new experience where Captain America's high fly.
I recently read an article on USA Today, and they're saying it's starting to look bad for poor Americans. But the fact is, who are the poor Americans? Because it's a majority now. The middle class has been erased. All you have now is upper middle class, upper middle class, and upper class, and the poors, the thrifts, people like us. And though we can look at inflation rates, we can look at wages have gone up slightly, but we are still feeling the great impacts of what we've seen happen over the past 4 and 5 years. With a rapid, obscene printing of money, we've seen the devaluation of the US dollar to the point where America has essentially lost its position as global economic hegemon. The BRICS countries are coming up. You know, they are the rising power. What's America going to do? Because with lack of policy, we'll see what the tariffs are going to do. In the long run, I hope the tariffs work. I hope they do something, because something is better than nothing. Because nothing means that they keep spending, they keep using, they keep abusing the population to get what they need to push their agenda, while at the same time burying us in a position where people need to take debt just to meet the cost of living. Because the average household income now, even in places like Kentucky, average household income doesn't meet the cost of living. So for all those people out there that say the solution is to move to the rural areas, that may be the case. You may be able to find a cheaper home, but the fact is there's not going to be any jobs there. I spent 8 or 9 years in West Virginia. I love West Virginia. It's a beautiful place. Reality is poverty there is crippling. Yes, you can buy a home for cheap, but guess what? Good luck finding a job where you can meet those mortgage payments on the wages that you'll be receiving, because not everybody wants to be a coal miner. And you're like, well, you just have to do what you have to do. You're lazy. If you think it's normal that you need to work in a coal mine to make ends meet, you have gone back 100, 200 years in thinking. We're supposed to be moving past that. Our society, our civilization with technology, we are supposed to be moving in a direction that makes life easier. When we talk about AI, when we talk about the automation of the service industry, the great fear is that people are going to be left out to the side. People are going to be left out on their own, unable to find jobs. The hope and dream of a universal basic income for many people in lieu of the positions that have been taken over by AI is just, it's a pipe dream. America is not going to give that kind of stuff out for free. And you may say, well, during 2019, 2020, we saw stimulus checks. Why not have something like that? Haven't we seen the consequence of the stimulus checks, the consequence of the government printing money to try to hold up the economy, to hold up people's lives? The sad reality is that the government will never be able to pay for everyone to live. And there doesn't seem to be a way out for most people now. Someone in the comments said that America is the best place to go and make money, but it's the worst place to be left behind. And I can see that. And while you may say, oh, you're poor in a golden cage, the golden cage isn't what you think it is. America has become a serfdom. If you don't pay your bills, if you don't pay your mortgage, if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to prison or you're going to be homeless. That's the way that it is. And the fact is, the cost of living has gone up to the point where people aren't being able to make that ends meet without 60 or 80 hours being worked a week. You can say, well, unemployment's the lowest it's ever been. Yes, because that's because everyone's being pressed. That's because the labor market is being squeezed for everything that it's worth. People can't work more than 60, 80 hours a week. And what happens when cost of living goes up so much that 60 to 80 hours a week won't cut it? What are people going to do then? If you think that America is an unsafe place now, I fear for what it becomes when the cost of living passes the threshold of individual ability to earn income, because we're almost there. And I feel like this isn't a fear-mongering thing. This isn't doom posting. This is just reality. And we need to understand that the normalization of poverty, the normalization of being poor, the normalization of working 60 to 80 hours a week should be a massive red flag. And the attention to that red flag shouldn't only be paid by those who are being affected by it, because soon we all will. If the middle class has been erased, then you have a large segment of the population, the vast majority of the population that exists within the working class now. And if the working class is being driven into ruin, this is going to spell horrible effects for everyone in America. Because you can't just import people left and right. That's not going to be the solution. You can't just call people lazy. That's not going to be the solution. You can't normalize desperation, not in this country. Because you may have a comparison and say, still to be poor in America is much better than being poor in so-and-so country. But individual expectation, what we expect our lives to be in the contract that we've agreed upon with our corporations, with our government, a failure to meet that also comes with consequences. I think for a long time, Americans have kind of sat by and watched their country go to ruin. We've sat by and watched our money get devalued into nothing. And as long as we've had some semblance of comfort to tell us that, hey, we're okay, and no one has actually stood up, no one has actually said anything, but that's coming to an end now. Look at the faces of the people around you. Look at the faces of people who are going to work in the morning in America. A 12-hour shift, a 13-hour shift a day is not normal. To wake up, to shower, to go to work, to come home, maybe have some dinner, and then to go to bed, this is not normal, and it's not sustainable in America. It is wrong. This is wrong. That's not what this country is meant to be. It's not what this country is supposed to be. That is not what millions, is not what hundreds of millions, billions of people over the generations have sacrificed for us to become. Because the reality of this moment now, America has become nothing more than a farm for the wealthiest people, the managerial class, and corporations to abuse and squeeze the wealth from. Because it's not coming back to America. There's no inheritance now. Our children, if we have children, what do they get?
Best 200-word essay in 10 minutes to win $200.
Yeah, the thrill is gone, finished. Okay, and we just witnessed, this precept here, from the Brother Spiritual Arc 144K. You can read that. And I found the chart too, bro, and it's interesting too. Well, you can read that, bro. And you can break it down too and pull this chart up.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And really, bro, like it's really like it's just straightforward. When the righteous rule, when Yahweh Shema Shah rule, when the world is governed by the laws and the requirements and the standards of Yahweh Shema Shah, the people rejoice because everything will be in balance, everything is in order. But when the wicked rule, the people mourn. All right, we're seeing more and more videos of just people. That's people of all nations mourning right now. The whole entire earth is mourning. The earth itself is mourning right now. The earth not bearing as much fruit, as much produce as it does. Like everything is in mourning right now. We just see one video where this guy here. He was mourning. The brother Zaquan Shaquat, he put up one. Well, another woman, she was mourning, but just like the scripture says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. All right, when the wicked rule, the people mourn, and we seeing more and more people come out with these videos and that they mourning, they whining and complaining about what's going on.
So I got this chart, bro, and it's spot on what you're saying. So it goes into the most working hours in these different countries. Now, as you can see, you got Mexico, Costa Rica, and Chile, which that's South Central America. Okay, they at the top 3. Well, when you go from there, all right, you have nothing but these westernized Edomite countries that work the most hours in the world. Okay, here it is. Western people are supposed to be so civilized and so advanced and so high tech and so smart, but these governments are working the hell out of people, man. Okay, you got Greece. Okay, you got the small hats. Okay, South Korea, which they westernized. All right, Canada, Poland, U.S. And this is what capitalism, because when you go into capitalism is the very few capitalizing off the labor of the masses. Okay, the reason why Jeff Bezos is damn near a trillionaire is because he's capitalizing off the labor of the masses. Okay, that's what capitalism boils down to. Okay, where the masses, where the very few elite capitalize off the workforce of the many. Okay, but you got all these because then you think about it, you got the Middle East, and the only country in the Middle East that's on here is the small hats. But here it is. Why is Saudi Arabia not on there? Iran, Iraq, okay, Yemen. Why is these nations are not on there, man? Okay, for them to be third world country, they have a lot of free time. Goddamn. Shit, we miss. Yeah, shit, we missed somewhere. You got this. These are all supposedly Japan. These are all Portugal. France, Finland. These are all advanced first world countries, man. Okay, well, you don't see no African countries on here. We don't see any which a lot of them, Esau worked them off the books, with their slaves, with their different, but goddamn, all this AI can do this chat GPT and shit, but these countries are still getting the brakes worked out there, so yeah, man, it's just a very imbalanced, society, and a lot of people work them long hours to try to live them lifestyles in the city too, So yeah, let's get these last few on the comment board. All right, yeah, you get that one, bro.
This is second Ezra chapter. This is second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yep. So it's just like
because it's only.
No, you got it, bro.
I'm just going. It's only getting worse. What we see happening now. The crime. See, people are going to stop crying about things and just take matters into their own hands. Okay, because remember, America is the most armed country in the world. Where you have more guns than people. Okay, so when it get real drastic out here, all right, what we're going to see is these people, lose it. When they can't get their comforts, when they can't be pampered, okay, by the convenience of America, you're going to see these people losing, man. You got it, bro. You make a point.
Because like he said, he wonders. He was saying that he wondered. That's what sparked the scripture. He wondered about what's going to happen. When what you getting ain't going to be enough. Because people look at that and be like, oh, he coming in like, you got to understand what a sword is. For one, a sword is not a sharp object. We talking about guns, bats, anything. Esau's military is the form of a sword. So the point is, people want once what they getting is not enough, people they gonna start breaking into houses. They're gonna start raping people and taking what they got. And let's just be real. Like people talk about the barter system. Man, if I got guns and I'm hungry and you got food, nigga, that's my food.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just the mindset, But that's what people understand all these. And then that second Ezra 15, which what I've been getting into lately, and that's going into the time of Jacob's trouble. So he's saying that now in that video, that's in the spirit, bro. That's the time that we coming into right now. You can't deny it.
Come, bro. Like you said, to have a barter system, You know, you gotta have honor and integrity, man. These people ain't got no integrity, man. You know. But yeah, you can read that one, bro.
This is Isaiah chapter 24 and 11. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The myrrh of the land is gone.
Yeah, so we coming to a time, okay, the party is almost up. You know, I think they had, brothers went into the party, cities closing, and it's symbolic, in the spirit. All right, the party is almost up, man. Okay, and these people are going to be crying for the wine of the truth. Okay, because as their, physical wine is going to dry up, their mirth, their party, okay, is going to dry up. All joy is going to be darkened, and the mirth of the land is being sucked out of this place, man. So we're gradually getting into the worst time ever. The scriptures speak about, how times, this is the worst tribulation since the earth ever was, man. Well, we're coming to these times, and America is going to experience a poverty that these other nations have never felt before. So the scriptures say, "Do unto her as she's done unto you," and the Lord gonna make America feel the poverty that the American government has spread throughout the earth, man. The way that they've impoverished people throughout the earth. All that's gonna come back, man, and America is gonna experience a poverty like none other, man. And we can end it here with this brother precept. The hopeful 3. You got it, bro.
I got this, brother. Hopeful elect 3. Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want.
Yeah, and this sums this system up, because remember, capitalism is the elite few capitalizing off the labor, okay, of the masses. Okay, so they oppress the poor through debt, okay, through this devalued as money, okay, that they give as a wage. So they oppress the people, with poor wages, okay, which makes them have to increase labor, okay. And when you increase labor, you're enriching them, and you barely getting by, running yourself raggedy, man. Okay, and this society is built to where people give back to the rich, because you work to make one corporation rich, then you pay bills to the rest of the corporations, and then if you have anything left over for entertainment, you're giving it to some more corporations, So you spend your whole existence laboring and giving to corporations, man. Okay. And now you don't have anything, you don't have any inheritance to pass down to your children, because it's all been sucked up by these corporations, man.
Bro. And
you got it.
They've done it like that because again, the first year he was saying that normally it's a woman's her thing is supposed to be at home, taking care of the house, so a man can go out and make what he need to make. So a man or that woman, she's furthering the what I'm looking for, the estate, or she's furthering her home. Now both people in the home have to spend all their day furthering their estate of the top 1%. So there's never really no true investment into your own estate, which is how it's supposed to be. Because even with both people being out furthering the estate of the top 1%, they barely still make. We just saw you still in the hole. What, negative 481%. So there's nothing, like you said. There's nothing that there's no inheritance to give. Like inheritance ain't even in the question because you ain't even breaking even.
Nah. So yeah, that's the point. Just want to go into that. From empire to nightmare. So just going into empires and how they operate. The history dealing with America, how it sprung out of the British, and became the dominant superpower. There was a time when you had the golden age of America, okay, and now we're in the time of the nightmare. It only gets worse, okay. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and You sisters edified once again. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards young brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully, shalom.
Shalom.